Welcome to another episode of With the BS, Blurs and Nerds. We have a very, very fun episode coming up here today where we're going to talk about just stuff that we grew up with, the 90s cartoons and other shows that were quote unquote kid shows like the Power Rangers. And today we got some new faces in here and new faces to the family. So I'm going to start off with Steven. How you doing, man?
What's happening, bro? How you doing?
Man, can't call it today. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Steven, from Birmingham, met White College.
Yes.
Just, became friends in college, connecting on Facebook, of course, like people do. And, now we, in and out of each other's lives, very sporadically, just seeing things. Mostly we talk a lot about food.
Yeah. The last conversation we had was he was showing me how to make very crispy chicken, right, and how I needed to use thigh meat versus using breast meat.
Best. I'm telling you, it's the best.
He literally took me step by step in this video where he made messages of him recording cooking chicken in a deep skillet. It was amazing, and I had to cook it afterwards.
What takes it from crispy to extra crispy? What's the level?
Honestly, it's about the love. Love. It's the care. Of course, you want to make sure that you get you some breadcrumbs or some cornflakes or something good like that. But it's the love. That's really what it is. It's the love.
That's literally what he said in the video too. So, the next person, still new to the family, Jeremy. Jeremy and I have known each other for years, and I was on his show where I won some of these awesome things that I have in the background, like including my wonderful pride and joy of Black Panther that goes along with my big Black Panther. So that's mini me over there. So Jeremy, what's going on with you, man?
So not much. Living the same quarantine life as everybody else, trying to do a lot online. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. Man, I didn't realize until you said that how long it's actually been. What's it been, like 8 years, 7 years?
Yeah.
It's gotta have been longer. It's been a minute. So I didn't even think about that. But so I guess it makes us long-term friends at this point.
Oh yeah, we're brothers. so yeah.
I'm associated with Haven Comics in Madison, and we call it the Haven Comics Quiz Show. Like Wyatt said, we've got a new guest on every week, and so we'll ask questions, and then the audience basically gets to compete with the new guest, and everybody wins prizes, and it's just a fun time.
It's really an awesome time. And one of the next guests on your show at the time of this recording is my boy Marcus. Marcus, how you feeling, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Jeremy, I am excited for this week, but yeah, I'm doing great. It's been a good weekend, which was a little bit longer, but I'm excited for the topic at hand today. I'll go ahead and bring out some of my favorite 90s cartoon. I don't know if you guys can see them. Got my Beast Wars, but yeah, I'm ready for this conversation into that dialogue. So let's get to it,
man. So just gonna start off simple. So if there was one show that you guys absolutely remember watching as a kid, what was that one show that you couldn't miss? You had all the toys too, all of those things.
I guess I'll go ahead and jump in. Like you just saw, for me, it was Transformers Beast Wars. That was like I think I was maybe in the 6th, 7th grade. I was in between. I can't remember the exact age, but I know for a fact, like I loved that show. Like I always loved Transformers, but that show particularly, like, man, I had just about all the toys. I had all, and to this day I don't know what most of them at, but I had just about all of them. But Transformers Beast Wars was one of my shows that I love. Had to watch. If it's coming on, I try my best to write down the time so I know exactly where to be and everything like that. It's one of my shows. I have to say that
one. I love that one too. That was a great show.
Did you watch the, like, when they had like not the Beast Wars, but you know how they went back to Cybertron and then they were kind of Beast Wars but kind of not? Did you watch that one too?
I watched some of it. I didn't watch that. I wasn't into that one as much as I was with the Beast Wars, the regular Beast Wars. But I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. But I wasn't into that one as hard as I was as the original Beast Wars.
That's good. What about you, Jeremy? What was one of those shows for you?
Marcus, I saw those toys and just a bubble popped in my brain, and all those old memories came out. You remember that episode with the like protoform that didn't transform all the way?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Oh, I love that show too. If I had to pick one, I was a Spider-Man man. It came out wrong. So Spider-Man, X-Men, and I love Sonic the Hedgehog. So it's just different stages of childhood. But if I had to pick one, it would be Spider-Man.
Take your cup and your brother's cup back there. Okay, my children interrupting me. It's been difficult. I've been sitting here racking my brain, but the one that I would have to say, go on to your room, son. Thank you. Sorry about that. That's so unprofessional.
You good?
I was gonna say cow and chicken, but I'm gonna have to rewind a little bit further and go and say Ninja Turtles. But those were two different stages in life. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm gonna go Ninja Turtles. That was my jam. I was just crazy about it as a kid. Like it was to the point where like even my grandmother, who didn't know, if she didn't know anything, she knew Ninja Turtles. Okay, because I was talking about it all the time. I was trying to get all of the toys all of the time. It's like, hey, where are you? I'm just everywhere, just Ninja Turtles. That was my jam. Like, that's the one I'm gonna have to pick because the Turtles loved them.
A little fun fact: my son right now knows the Ninja rap song, and I couldn't be prouder of him as a father. Wow. So he go Ninja, go, like all day.
Way to go!
Yes, that's awesome.
So, isn't it funny how those endure?
Yeah.
Right. Like, it pops up when we were kids. It's the 1980s property, and then how old's your son?
9.
Wow. So those have hung around for a long time.
Yeah. Power Rangers did the same with my kids. Like my son's 5, and go green.
When I tell you mine as well.
Like, okay, cool. We ride in the car, and he literally wants the Power Ranger song on repeat. Like, no, we can't put it on repeat, buddy. But we'll
that one good time you can hear that song. Like, okay, my son is like, I take pride in the fact that I kind of showed him that stuff. Like, okay, so yeah, and then well, my favorite one was Batman. Like Batman the animated series, like. Yeah. I loved it where they had everything from there, and I won a couple prizes on Jeremy's show. Like I won the Ninja Turtles. You can't see him; he's up there. And I was super excited about that. So like there's actually like 2 walls now, like anime, comic book stuff, and everything like that. And it's kind of transitioned over to Ben's walls too. But yeah, Batman the animated series, and then how it kind of transitioned from that to like Superman. Then like then they had the Justice League, and then the Justice League Unlimited. That was my fun stuff from there. So, but there was a question that I had. Oh, talking about Power Rangers. Power Rangers has really just kept going. Like even yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if it's even good anymore because most of the ones that my kids watch are like the classic. They're looking at Skull and what's the other guy's name? Crap.
Bolt.
Yeah, that's who they're looking at with Rita and all of them. Like, so I don't even know if this new stuff is any good. I couldn't tell you. I heard Tommy was on there for a long time though.
On the new seasons?
He was on the Green Ranger. He endured on there. Like he was on there for a long time. He's done a whole lot of iterations of Power Rangers.
He was in there from the original to, and they went to Zeo, then they went to, I think after Zeo there was like the Turbo. He was on there from like up until they went, I think after Turbo. Then he's been back making like guest appearances for like
Okay.
several other seasons. The only reason I know is like my kids, I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and my 3-year-old will watch, like he'll watch, I think Super Ninja Steel is his favorite one right now, but my 5-year-old, he will sit there and watch the old ones. He's 6 now, but yeah, he will sit there and watch like the original ones where Tommy was the Green Ranger and stuff like that. He'll sit there and watch them, and man, I used to sit there just with him and I'm watching it now. Like back then, I loved it. Now I look at it like it's so corny. Like this is awesome. Like
man, all right, so this is how I might have should have chosen Power Rangers, because I remember when the Green Ranger came out with the little knife flute. My grandmother, my butt. I took a whole bunch of aluminum foil and made me a knife dagger. I got me some green markers and things like that, and like was coloring on the aluminum foil. And I took it to school, everything, trying to stunt with my Green Ranger dagger. So and Power Rangers was my jam. Like
you were industrious.
I had to be, man. I want to tell you about pencils and erasers and making the paper and holding them in place with the little eraser caps so that I could crack it in class. Oh, it's amazing.
I had that flute. And I had that sword. What was that sword's name?
Saba.
Yeah. So that show came out August 1993. I looked that up. I don't just know that stuff off the top of my head.
I was like, you were great. You were awesome.
So 28 years that's been running.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane. That's a soap opera at this point.
It is.
It is.
Almost on par with The Simpsons, but they're still a little bit longer, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I just want to point out. Yeah, I just want to point out the one time with the Green Ranger when he went into the Megazord and beat everybody up.
Whoop their butt.
Yeah, just like, I mean, he came in there and just started piecing up everybody, and I was just like, well, what happened to everybody else's powers? He just was like, judo chop. Come on, get out.
Yep.
That's a shame, man. He jumped up there, hopped in the Zord, and kicked everybody, but and kicked everybody out. Like, how did that happen? Like, if I was one of them, I would have to have a question for Zord. I'm like, bro, how you get the security code to the Zord? Like, how we get in?
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just saying that the most recent movie that came out, I kind of enjoyed it. With Bryan Cranston in it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that bad. I was like, all right, I like what they did with that. That was pretty cool.
I had fun with the reboot. Yeah, I liked it.
I did as well.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I had to emotionally divorce myself from my experience as a kid. And, it's a different thing. But
it really.
If I just let myself sit in the seat and look at the screen, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the main issue that they ran into, was the fact that everybody was like, this is not like the regular Power Rangers. It's not like the one that we grew up with. And that's one thing that I think sometimes they run into with the reboots, is just the fact that, how you imagined it as a kid versus what you're seeing as an adult. It's never gonna, kind of add up to the same thing. So
we want nostalgia. That's what it is. We want to, when we hear those words, it's like, oh, is it going to take me back? I mean, maybe not, but just curb enthusiasm a little bit and get for what it is. Now, I really wish they would come up with a Captain Planet reboot.
Right. That would be awesome.
And I'm gonna go and just throw my voice in the hat to be, the captain. So anybody was gonna do a Captain Planet reboot, I want to be the new Captain Planet's voice. I'm just saying, I think I do a good job at it, and the power is yours.
No, you gotta say.
I'd watch a live action Captain Planet. I'd pay money for that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be live action because my body's not ready for that yet. You know what? Now get that. If they tell me, Steven, you've got 6 months to get ready to be Captain Planet live action, I'm gonna be ready to be Captain Planet live action. It's gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna get
training montage. Training montage. That's all I can say. Let's go.
You guys see the Don Cheadle one?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Pops
super,
up turning
From Funny
everybody
or
to
Die.
trees.
yeah.
From Funny or Die, yes, I love that one. That is hilarious.
Auntie, hilarious.
Does anybody remember Double Dragons?
Yeah.
I do. I remember the movie.
Yeah.
It had my boy Mark DeCospus in it.
Yeah.
And I forgot the other Scott Wolf or something like that. But yeah, I remember the show, I remember the cartoon, remember the games, and I remember the movie. The movie was, you can say it was trash, but it's like one of those guilty pleasures. Like I'll watch it just because it's Double Dragon.
Yeah.
Like and you know, at the time, like I'm a little kid, so they coming out with movies about games that I've played or stuff like that. So I'm like, I gotta go see the same thing like Mortal Kombat.
Mhm.
The Teenage Mutant Turtles movies, the original movies back in the day, where they actually had like the actual live action in the suits, not the stuff they brought out a few years ago. Like I don't even want to talk about it. They could have been so much better, but I like the actual suits, and I love Teenage Mutant Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. Still one of my favorite movies. Like I love that movie.
So you said the movie was trash, but you loved it anyway. Like, I think you get a pass to just love something, even though it's trash. Like, you get to just enjoy it. It doesn't have to be like a blockbuster, like, and Oscar winner at the same time.
Yeah.
You can just sit down and enjoy something because it's something you like you spend emotional time with these characters. You have enjoyed the presence of these characters, and they kind of become a little tiny piece of your life. So when you get to see them on screen, like, the movie doesn't have to be, you know, The Departed or whatever for you to just enjoy it. Like, I think we ask too much of our movies sometimes. It's got to be good, but I think the fact that it is that property, we can just enjoy that, in my opinion.
All right, I do agree with that, but sometimes they just really miss the mark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, all right, okay.
I think they miss the mark when they disrespect that I'm there for the property I love.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean?
I can definitely agree with that.
I can see that. Yes. So don't have.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Like there's certain ones that you just go in there and you have to turn your brain off just because it's just like, listen, I'm here to show love for the property, like you said. But in the same instance, don't give me something that, you know, that you're trying to redo the whole property and that's like put a little twist on it. I'm all right with that. But you know,
Don't give me Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, there you go. Don't give me Dragon Ball Evolution. So
I'm sorry.
So
that I don't know what they did.
I haven't even, and I'm glad that I haven't seen it, and I'm glad I haven't. Also, I'm not a Dragon Ball fan anyway, so this is 90 cartoons. When we get to anime, call me back.
we had
think
one.
Dragon Ball counts.
Yeah, because
I was watching Dragon Ball.
Okay, well, let me go on and get on this. I loved Dragon Ball as a child, okay?
Yeah.
And then I became a man and began to understand the value of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I hear
remember
that.
being on the edge of my seat every Saturday, like, oh my gosh, this fight is going to be amazing. And then next week, in that same spot, this fight is going to be amazing.
The same fight.
So they actually throw a punch. Whoa! You see how strong he's going to get? It's taking him weeks just to get powerful enough to throw a punch. This is going to be so awesome. Only to, you know, the fights were good. I will say that the fight scenes were good. And, you know, it was, I guess I connected to Dragon Ball. That was my, you know, anime intro, you know, and I put Super on for my kids now to go ahead and get that seed planted in their brains. But it's just like, it's so disappointing. It's like, I tried to go back and watch it again, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I can't do this. So, I mean, I think someone said there's like a list of abridged where you can just, you know, skip all over that crap and actually, maybe one day I'll take the time out to redo that. But I had to put Dragon Ball down when I grew up because I'm like, I can't be, you know.
You just got me excited. You said there's an abridged version where they just go through it without any of the waiting.
Yeah.
Man, I
Someone-
see that.
A list or like a YouTube or something like that. I haven't been invested enough in it to go search for. I know it exists, but I haven't, taken the time out to go find it.
I would love to see that. That'd be the best 45 minutes of cartoons.
I mean, seriously, like, oh, okay, cool. So, like, in all of this time, he fought like 3 different villains in an hour. Amazing.
Yeah.
They also did something with it's called Dragon Ball Kai, where they kind of cut out the fillers, and it is just strictly like storyline. So the one thing that they had done, because like everybody knows, when you watch Dragon Ball, everybody waited for like 3 months for Goku to turn Super Saiyan, and it was just like, oh well, they just talked about this again. They talked about that. So they have something like that with Dragon Ball Kai, and I think it's on Hulu, where you can be able to watch it, and it just goes through the storyline. And what they did is also they made it sharper with the HD, and they also kind of enhanced the fight scenes a little bit. So it's a really, really good one.
All right.
That sounds awesome.
Tying it up in the Howard household, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So next thing I wanted to ask you guys, because there were so many different cartoons. Like, were you a Fox kid? Did you watch a whole lot more Nickelodeon? What about, Cartoon Network? What was like when you went to the house? What did you stay on? There was also WB too, so it depends on.
Yeah, sure. Because you got Animaniacs with WB, you can't sleep. I was the whatever was available kid. You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't, if honestly, I always tried to find the last button on the remote because I'm flipping back and forth between 2 of them. Yeah. But someone puts a gun in my head and says, you have to pick one. I'm going to go Cartoon Network for Dexter's Lab, Cow and Chicken. Like that group was my jam. Like all of those that it's like, man, children probably really shouldn't be watching this.
Bravo.
Even into the late night stuff, like Space Ghost and all of that stuff like that. Like Cartoon Network was really like hitting on it. So, I would say I'm a Cartoon Network.
Cow and Chicken is such a deep cut for me. Like I haven't thought about that in years and years and years. Why was that your favorite?
I'm sorry, I missed your question. What'd you say?
Cow and Chicken was such a deep cut for me. Like, I haven't thought about that in forever. Why is that one your favorite?
Because it was so like, I think it was because at that age, like I was going through puberty and it was so crass and like just crazy. And I don't know what it was about the way Cal said Big Brother. It was always hilarious to me. Like I loved it. Like it was, I really just can't explain. It has no explanation about why that was my favorite. It's just like, that was the one that just connected to me all of the time. It made 0 sense.
Yeah.
Like, but I also like Johnny Bravo a good bit too. I know why I like Johnny Bravo, because he always was after the ladies, and he was like a small hero of mine, even though he constantly
The endured rejection over and over. It was getting me ready for man.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna do it better than Johnny though. I'm gonna make it happen.
You bring up a really awesome point. So there's like passive viewing and active viewing. So like what I would actively sit down and seek out, I was ready for it. Like I knew what time it was on. I had the channel ready to go. I was watching commercials before it happened. And then there's that passive viewing. It's like I had 3 brothers. So, there's my show and there are their shows, and I would sit and watch things that I didn't necessarily like. Because, what are you going to do? As a kid, there's no internet. Like, so I had a bunch of shows like that. I watched so many shows that, like, as we're having this conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this existed. Like, Cow and Chicken, and then there were all those other ones. Johnny Bravo, Ed, Ed and Eddie, with someone with the dog. Yeah, Courage. Yeah. There's all the ones on MTV. Like I'm looking back on those and I love them, but the ones that I like actively sought out I was a Fox kid. So X-Men and Spider-Man. We mentioned Spider-Man before, but then I guess I was lazy because I'm thinking about all those other things that popped on. You know, they put Spider-Man, and then there was this time slot. I guess they put the worst property in, and then there'd be Power Rangers. You know,
Mhm.
I'd watch whatever.
What about you, Marcus?
It's hard to say. I'm just kind of like what Jerry was saying, but I had certain ones I would say, like the Spider-Man was one of them, X-Men, then like stuff used to love on Nickelodeon from Rugrats to Doug. I used to love Doug. Then Cartoon Network, was a big fan of I would watch Cow and Chicken every now and again. Courage was all right. Courage was all right. Ed and Eddie. I think one of my favorites, I can't remember if this came on Cartoon Network or TBS, but SWAT Cats. SWAT Cats is one of my favorites.
I thought that was WB maybe.
I can't remember.
It was Cartoon Network.
It was Cartoon, yeah, because I know
it was a Hanna-Barbera. Yeah, it was. They owned it. Yeah.
Of a deep knowledge of these things, I would have never thought, like, where was I watching these?
That's why I said I couldn't remember, but I love, like, so it's hard to pick because each one of them had something I could go to, and even if you like after like cartoon, I would say cartoon, you can go Cartoon Network because even after, so as you got a little older in the late 90s, started going to, you had like the 290. That's where you got they brought in, started bringing in more anime like the Dragon Ball, the Gundam Wing, and other stuff. So I'm gonna go with Cartoon Network on this one for just because like kind of mature with its audience. Like you had your Dexter's Lab. I love Dexter's Lab, stuff like that. And then it started getting more and bringing in more, your Samurai Jacks, things like that. So yeah.
And Cartoon Network respected us because they grew up with us and then gave us Adult Swim.
Yeah.
So as our generation would have aged out of the,
Nickelodeon.
count, yeah, exactly. Then Adult Swim came along right around the same time, and that's where we started getting those cartoons that, push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? All that and like Nickelodeon had some pretty hard shows too, though. Like
they did.
All that. I mean, those are
Keenan and Kel.
Yeah, but still cartoon. That's number one. What about you, Wyatt?
I was a Fox kid because then after that it went from like Batman the animated series was on Fox for me, X-Men, Spider-Man, like all those comic book shows, because that's what like really got me into stuff. Then they had like Big Bad Beetleborgs, they had like the VR Troopers, they had all that, and then for whatever reason they had Tailspin on there afterwards. and so then I kind of dozed off like that. That was like that passive, because I had like a younger brother and sister, so then I was like, all right, Tailspin, yay. So that's where I could be able to kind of move forward. So that was
still watched it.
Yeah, Tailspin, so it was always great. But I think it's always really nice to have those kind of conversations about like what was really kind of drove that envelope and things like that, because there was a bunch of different things and a bunch of different properties that go on. So what do you guys think about the reboots of these certain shows and things like that? Like, for instance, Marcus, I know they're doing, because like we talked about this last time, Voltron, and they did Voltron on Netflix. And I think they're now doing another one that just came out, or they just broke news about it, where they're doing He-Man on Netflix as well. So how do you guys feel about, and then they've done like 3 or 4 iterations of Ninja Turtles and Batman and things like that. So how do you guys feel about reboots?
Me personally, I'm okay with reboots. I'm okay with reboots long as they stick to, I don't say stick to the source material, like they give a good, I feel like as long as they come with a good story. I'm okay with reboots as long as they're telling a good story. I'm okay with doing something a little different. Like I love the Voltron on Netflix. I showed you guys last week. I got the Black Lion. I got most of them, but I actually got it right here, my Black Lion. But I I love that Voltron. Like that Voltron was they told a good story. And I went through the whole series, followed it, and they just ended. I think it was last year before last, but like the actual series ended. It was really good, and I always recommend it to people. But like I said, I heard about the He-Man. I love what they're. Hopefully it'll be good. They actually have a She-Ra on Netflix. I've watched like the first few episodes of that. But I'm okay with reboots. Long as, like I said, long as you're telling a good story, I'm okay with stuff like that. Like I'm not. And there's so much stuff I would love to see them reboot. And speaking of reboot, the show, like that's. And we talked about another one that was on Cartoon Network, the show Reboot. Like, I love that show. I think that was on Cartoon Network as well. I think it started on ABC, and then I think Cartoon Network picked it up or something like that. But that's another one like that. It's so many good '90s cartoons. But yeah, I'm okay with reboots.
Can we spend just a second on reboot, because I don't want to take us too far off track. But Marcus, I'm really glad you brought that. Everything you're saying is like, oh yeah, that's a whole like year of my childhood I just forgot. So the reboot was really awesome because it started goofy and it got so dark. It just got so dark. It just all of a sudden was like apocalyptic. And that was a unique thing for me as a kid, but I really liked that.
Yeah,
I always go ahead.
I was gonna say not a lot of them, but you had some stories that took their their viewerships, like, okay, well, let's start telling a little bit more. Let's go into a little bit deeper. Let's, like I said, lean more towards or dark. And you got some cartoons that did that went from started off, like I said, it started off kind of goofy or started off kind of kiddish, and then as the seasons went on and stuff like that, it started telling a more deeper story or darker side of a story, which I loved back then. But yeah, you go ahead, Wyatt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just like the whole kind of other point of view of like now the computer is winning, because back in the day, like if you were playing a game and then all of a sudden the game got, really, really hard, you're like, oh, well now they're playing for them, really. So it was really cool to see that part of it. And then, like you said, the viruses and all the rest of it that they had going on, that was a really, really in-depth show. I liked it.
Yeah.
Steven, you remember?
I need to remember the show, and my computer's there for me to look up an image of it so I can see. Like, wait, why don't I remember that? So cool. Now I got to go look up Reboot when we get off of here so I can see that I watched this as a child, because I can't remember it.
We just gave you a chore.
I know. Dinner with the wife first, then.
You guys can watch Reboot together.
Maybe.
Perfect day.
No, it's not a perfect day. Not a perfect day. So, but when it comes to reboots, I know there's good reboots and then there's bad reboots, but I want to still hear everybody's kind of thoughts about reboots and things like that. So, Steven, how do you feel about them?
I'm cool with them. They're, I kind of would say I agree with the other two, I guess, in that, like, as long as they respect the origin, respect the story, respect what has already been built, because don't go changing too much, because then it becomes something, unrecognizable, or something that's just like, I don't want to say pandering, but sometimes I feel like that's something that kind of happens. It's like you trying too hard to pander to a different crowd, when it's like you don't have to do that. Just be what you've always been, and the people that like you gonna like you, and the ones that don't, still won't. That's just kind of how I feel about it. So I'm not, reboots fine with me.
I think I'm hearing the same thing. Like, my opinion is the same. Like, I need the soul of the property. I need it's got to be the same idea, and then I need a good time, right? So like, but we can't talk about reboots without talking about Michael Bay. So like Transformers, I loved as a kid. The Transformers movie I watched like 900 times. I had a bunch of Transformer toys. That was my jam. And then, I watched that movie. The first one, I cried when I heard Optimus Prime. Like, I'm gonna admit it. I was a grown man. I was sitting in the movie theater. I cried. I just heard his voice in a
Here's
right?
yes, to hear his voice. That was amazing, man. Seeing him on screen, I remember just watching him transform and seeing him on screen. I was just like,
you guys feel what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But then they kept going, and it's like, man, this is trash. Like,
yes, they I don't know what they were doing. Like,
trying too hard. They're trying to.
What's that one where everybody had swords all of a sudden? I don't even remember the name of that movie.
So I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it.
Exactly. Like, it just got to a point where like they didn't respect what the thing actually was, and it's like I don't care if there's another Transformers movie. I'm not gonna watch it. I didn't watch the Bumblebee one, which like maybe is sad because I hear that one was better.
Bumblebee was actually, I thought it was actually pretty good. Bumblebee was it took it back to, it's basically like, it's supposed to be like a prequel to the movies that Michael Bay did, but it was actually pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I like what they did with it.
So far, everything you're saying kind of speaks to me, so I'm going to take your opinion on that seriously. I'll watch it. But then, you know, he did the same. I know he just produced it, but he did the same thing with Ninja Turtles. Like, was that fun? I don't know. I saw. Did they make more than one? I saw the first one.
They did. They did make two.
You didn't like the Turtles?
The newer ones, I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
The 90s ones were better now. You know, I get
course.
what I like. I will say the one thing that sold me on it were how the turtles looked. Like, I just thought that was the greatest. I was like, yeah, that looks like a Ninja Turtle right there. That turtle looks like he could whoop somebody. But like, I like, that's the maybe I was just so starstruck with the character design that everything else just rolled off. But you know, I liked them. They were gritty. You know, it was. The 90s story was good. You know what I mean? Like, it was fun. It was cool. You know, but if they could take that same story and it didn't bother me. I like it. I say that. I like it. It was.
Was that Megan Fox again? Was that Megan Fox in the Turtles?
Yeah, she was in the Turtles movie. Yes, she was. As far as those, I want to go back and I could actually I haven't seen them recently, but the first one the look of the Turtles, I had to still wrap my mind around the look of the Turtles themselves. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as what they were doing in the movie, I thought it was okay, but I just didn't. The look of the Turtles kind of just, because it's hard, you know, growing, like I said, being, like you could say nostalgia, but just going back and looking at the original ones from the original movie, like I said, how this, like I was saying before, they actually used, like, they were suits. They actually put people in the suit. They used practical effects. And in this movie, it was more so. Go ahead. No,
I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, because in the newer movies, it was mostly CGI. And even though they had actors and doing the motions and stuff, but like all the stuff was animated around them. Like I don't know about. I didn't know how I felt about it. Like it's still to this. Like I want to like it. I do. But the look of the Turtles just kind of put me out of the movie more so. But that, like I said, that was just me though.
I can dig it.
So CGI in a movie can make me feel really disconnected, especially when it's done poorly. But like the practical effects make me feel like I'm in it, like I'm watching something that's like happening, right? So in the old ones from when I was a kid, again, I watched those things like 900 times. Like that's something that I could just put on and just watch like every time, and I just sit through the whole thing. I was, once again, just a very boring kid. So, but now, like, let's take Iron Man, for instance, right? The Iron Man movie comes out, and I guess that's technically a reboot too. So, you know, right along the same thing. In the first couple of movies, he's wearing a suit. You know, at least like from the torso up, he's wearing an actual suit. And then, of course, they got to CGI it too to make it all mesh. But, you know, it looks like it's really happening. But then you get into some of them, and he's flying around in this super slick, like, just slimy looking suit. And it's like, you can tell it's not the same.
I think my problem. Yeah. My problem with Ninja Turtles, the first one, was that Shredder was in like an Iron Man suit. You know what I mean? Whereas if you remember the first Ninja Turtles movie, he just was giving it to the Ninja Turtles, and he didn't even have a weapon.
He
Yeah.
was giving them
Just-
his hands a quick, just giving it to him. So yeah,
just giving him the pause. That's what I like to say. so he like, I mean, he didn't even, like, I think one time he took he had just a rod. Like, I think that was it that he had. And then at
Like-
one point
like
he
a
put
shower
it down.
curtain.
Yeah. He just put it down and still beat him up. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's what made it cool about Shredder, because then after that you had to respect Shredder as somebody in like a loincloth, just got, because he had just, I don't know what kind of sparkly shirt that he had on, and the outfit, the onesie that he had, but he was still whooping people up for it. So
it was a version of Gordon Gartrell.
and then like, of course, when you had Tokar and Razor in the second one, you was like, oh, okay,
Yes.
well, monsters versus monsters. You're like, and still like, yeah, and plus I just like their banter as brothers throughout those. The first one was really almost dark. I remember them
That's what I
saying
was saying. It was dark.
They said they was almost going to make it a PG-13 movie because, when they throw poor Raphael through the window and stuff like that, and he's like, is he alive? Barely. You know what I mean? How you gonna check a pulse on a turtle? I didn't
A
know.
turtle.
But
And they got beat so bad they had to go recover at a farm.
yeah.
Like they took 2 weeks off. Like
Oh, I remember them practicing like, hey, we gotta tighten up because we got beat up by just the foot, and Shredder hadn't even shown up. That was the crazy part.
Yes.
So
fun. I was a fun fact. The Turtles is like I said not a spinoff, but it's like it's supposed to be like not the same universe. I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's like something of Daredevil. Like it's like someone almost like the Daredevil, like the stuff that got splashed in Daredevil's eye. It's the stuff that is conspired, like ain't conspired, but it's like the stuff that was in Daredevil's eye. Yeah, the stuff that was in that splashed in Daredevil's eyes, the stuff that made the Turtles a splinter.
Yeah.
If you
Kevin
look like
Eastman,
Daredevil,
the artist, he was just goofing around one day, and he was drawing Daredevil, and then he drew a turtle and drew Daredevil stuff on him. They drew nunchucks, the mask. So the foot versus Daredevil's the hand. Splinter
and his
versus
foot.
Daredevil's stick.
Yeah. And that's why, like, if you go back, like I think to one of the first iteration of the Turtles, they didn't have colors. Their bands didn't have any colors on their bands. They were just
they're all supposed to be red, right?
The
color, the like comic might have been black and white, but it's like all red, just like Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Another part of my useless knowledge. I hold on to my brain. Retain. Yeah, my brain retains. I ain't gonna say useless, but it comes in handy from some stuff. But yeah.
Hey, it may come in handy. This coming up. Yeah. So,
I'm taking some notes on what you like. We like to kind of base it on what you actually enjoy instead of just trying to hit you with just anything.
Yeah, so, I've actually watched a couple of episodes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
This brings up a really interesting point. So you got Ninja Turtles, and before I put that together, right? So Ninja Turtles is widely popular, super famous, everybody loves it, and then you just start getting more and more and more junk. So you get things like Street Sharks, and it's like Street Sharks might have been fun. I mean, but you get like any animal mixed with any adjective. Just throw them together. There was a movie with like kangaroos, remember?
Warriors of Virtue.
Yes.
Warriors of Virtue.
All right, guys, y'all not gonna disrespect Warriors of Virtue.
Warriors of Virtue. The rules.
Okay, so
I love
let
Warriors
me go on and tell you. You know how there's like there are certain movies that it's just like they speak to a time in your life where you go. I was going through a lot when Warriors of Virtue came out, okay? And when I tell you that, the library should have just let me have that tape, okay? Because I'm talking about walking to the library, checking it out. When it came on HBO, oh my gosh, I was so glad we had cable during that point in time in my life. Oh my Lord, Warriors of Virtue is on HBO. I want to say that I might even watch it in Spanish one time. Okay, so It's been so long that I watched it, and I'm mad now because now I want to go back. That's what me and my wife need to watch. Warriors of Virtue. Talking about some reboot.
I love Warriors of Virtue.
Like, oh my gosh, man.
I am really happy to meet the one Warriors of Virtue fan.
I mean, it was because martial arts was like, I mean, oh my gosh, man. And it was like, I don't know what they were. I guess they were supposed to be kangaroos. But it's just like,
they called them.
I mean,
they called them the rules.
You know, it was beautiful. You know, I also like that movie with Tom Cruise in it. Is it Legend? No, it's not called Legend. With the unicorn.
Oh, yeah, it was Legend.
Yeah, Legend is the Zelda-ish one, right?
Yeah, he was I think he played with Tom Cruise. You know. I think Tim Curry was the guy. The
demon, the devil.
Yes.
Like, so, you know, maybe I just had bad taste in movies. I don't know.
Your taste is your taste. I just personally, I wasn't a Warriors of Virtue fan.
Don't talk
about it.
It's the same place.
You can love it.
But they were trying to capitalize off like the animal, like you just said, like like you said, Street Shark. I was a fan of Street Shark. I actually had all the toys. So, I love Street Shark. Street Shark. They had Biker Mice from Mars. They had
Biker Mice.
Dinosaur. Was it Dinosaurs?
That's what I'm saying. Some of them are great. I'm not saying all of them are bad. I'm just saying that there was a version of any old animal. Pick any animal, and there was like some like rough martial arts version of it where they fought.
Battletoads.
Battletoads. Yeah. Battletoads. One of my favorites. The theme song. I love the theme song to this day. The Mighty Ducks. The actual cartoon. At the movie, they actually made a cartoon with.
Were there actual ducks?
Ducks. Yes.
Did they
came out from the ice. Yeah.
Yes. I love that show. I actually watched it on Disney Plus not too long ago. I was watching an episode on Disney Plus.
What's the Green Rabbit? Bucky O'Hare?
I remember Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah. There's just a version of any animal. That's all I'm saying. I'm not attacking Warriors of Virtue.
I have a deep cut for you guys and I hate they didn't finish. Pirates of the Dark Water. Anybody remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
That's another really dark one. Yes.
Pirates of the Dark Water. Oh, I love that. It stopped. I forgot how many episodes there aren't like a whole lot of them. That's something I wish they would either finish or continue or reboot or whatever. Like Pirates of the Dark Water was so good, and they just kind of left it and stopped. Like I hate this one. I used to hate that as a kid. Like you fall in love with something and all of a sudden they just stop making it and you don't see it anymore. It's like
that is the worst.
So this is gonna sound bad, but I thought it was hilarious. My son was watching like a show like that, where I knew that there was only like one good season in there. And so then he was like, Dad, when's the second one's coming out? I was like, it's not. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Aren't they not gonna make it anymore? Son, that ended like 7 years ago. So like his whole feelings, whole heart was broken. And I was just like, welcome to the life of watching.
Welcome to life, son. That's how it is.
Man, that's some hurt right there. That is some real life hurt. You sitting there watching something and it's just like I said, you watch something and enjoying it, and then all of a sudden it's gone. They didn't finish this. Yeah. So
what show is it?
Well, one of the shows that he watched, he snuck and started watching was God Eater, which was an anime where I definitely didn't. And like as a 9-year-old, I was like, you should not be watching this. But the fact that you have good taste on this one makes me proud and scared at the same time. So I'm like, why are you? And then after he was like on the last episode, I was like, well, go ahead and finish it now. Like, so yeah, I really got to tighten up those Netflix controls because he's just everywhere.
So. I don't know if this counts, but some of the anime that I'd watch when I was a kid. This is this reminded me. I had no idea what was going on, like Akira, Devilman, that kind of stuff. Like I watched that again as an adult, and I'm like, why did anybody give this to me? Like, why did anybody let me see this at all? And like now there's the new Devilman on Netflix, and it's like nobody needs this. This is the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Jim, I was saying this the same. We was talking about the last episode we recorded. We was talking about anime, some of my favorite animes, and I was explaining how Wyatt's question, like, how did you get into anime? What was the first anime you remember? One of the first animes I can remember watching, and I said the last episode, I should not have been watching this. I was probably like between 5 and 7.
Wow.
Ninja Scroll.
Yeah.
I watched Ninja Scroll and if you've seen Ninja Scroll, like the very first few minutes of the movie,
When they're getting their head cut off or something.
Yeah.
that and a girl's getting like raped, it's crazy. Like it's bad. I shouldn't have been watching that as a kid, but that's one of my first. That's deep dive was my first step into anime. Like I said, I'm flipping, had cable, just flipping the channels. Like, what is this? It's a cartoon.
You see something animated. You're like, oh, this must be for me. And
Must
then it's
be
like,
for
it's
children.
not for you. It's
And
not
I guess
for
parents were the same. They're like, oh, that's a cartoon. Whatever, he can watch it. But I would, now that I'm a parent, like I look back at some of that stuff and it's like, no, my dad shouldn't have let me watch Predator when I was like 5. Like that's not how this works.
I was watching I said this last time, I was watching Batman Returns, and Batman Returns is definitely not for, like, he definitely molested one lady that he's like putting the pin on. He tells Catwoman he wants to show her his flipper trick. I'm like, listen, bro, like what is going on here? So
I watched that recently. Like,
I'm while we're on the idea of cartoons that we shouldn't have been watching, I'm gonna go on and throw Ren and Stimpy out there.
yes.
Like, oh my gosh, like why didn't anyone control that? Like, that show was crazy, but I mean, loved it though. It was hilarious.
And so like
Stimpy.
They picked Ren and Stimpy back up. I was never a Ren and Stimpy fan, and so like I'm not really watching the new stuff, but like Ren and Stimpy are in love. Like they were always in love. Like that was the subtext of the old
when
one.
you
There's
grow
a
up, you kind of realize that. It's like, oh, they were in a relationship. That's strange. But
that's the word I should have used. Love is probably not the right word. So.
Man, I remember. I think I was watching Ren and Stimpy one day, and he was sharpening a pencil with his belly button. I'm sitting there. My mom walks in the room. Said, "What is this? What is he doing?"
Yeah.
Like, Mama, I don't know. It's just what the cartoon. She was like, "Turn that off right now." I remember that distinctly.
Maybe there's a kid out there who doesn't understand you can't do that. You know?
I wasn't able to watch Ren and Stimpy as a kid. Was not able to watch The Simpsons. As soon as my mom, like, cause Simpsons came on like at 5 o'clock where I was at. So as soon as the other cartoons came off, and my mom heard The Simpsons, she was like, turn it off. Time to go now. so I was not able to watch any of that stuff. So
I'm gonna go out on a limb though and say, Wyatt, did you have good parents?
They were all right, you know. Sometimes they was all right.
Like Trent, if you had to flip a coin, it would probably be good.
Yeah,
if you had to say good or bad. Okay.
I had to. So, as far
Mine,
as that,
mine let me watch whatever, and I didn't turn out great.
Man, you did. You're awesome, man. You got.
I fought through it.
So the last thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna give one good reboot, one not so good reboot, just to kind of close everything out about what you have, because I know there's stuff where it's like, we've even forgot to talk about like Teen Titans or the different iterations of Batman that they had, because they had a bunch of them, because there's a bunch of them. So what do you guys think are some good ones, some bad ones? We can go movies and or television shows from that point.
I think we should start with, we're talking about 90s, we're talking about our childhoods, and I'm guessing you guys are all the same age or around the same age as me.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I could have enjoyed as a kid that's Batman was the animated series, like you. Like that was my jam. I loved it. It was like a really classy show. Even when I watch it now, it's like well done. The art is well done. And then, like I'm an art nerd. So as an adult, I've kind of dug a little bit more into this. Bruce Timm is the showrunner for that, right? He's the one who designed the characters, like the looks that they had. And then he actually did that for the Superman cartoon in the same, same age, and then the Justice League cartoon. And you said even just a few minutes ago that those things, you got into all those. In my opinion, they were kind of the same thing, right?
Mhm.
And then so he only quit just a few years ago. So even now, their animated series, like most of it, was run by him, and it all kind of had that same vibe. I love all of that. I think he was amazing. He's like, the Kevin Feige of Batman when I was a kid.
I agree. He had a lot of it. All right, Marcus, you got something. You look.
I was going to say, like you mentioned, Teen Titans. I like the Teen Titans. I don't like I'm not the Teen Titans Go. I know some people love it. I just don't really like the Go. And I know they did a reboot, which even when I heard it coming, I'm a Thundercats fan. I love Thundercats, and I would love them to actually do it. They did a reboot like some years ago. And I know not a lot of people watched it. I watched it, and they just recently did a reboot called Thundercats Go. And I think that lasted for a season, and they was like, and it didn't. Once again, not a lot of people wanted or watched or whatever case, like stuff like that. Like, and I know they're going towards or trying to get the viewership of kids.
Was Thundercats Go like Teen Titans Go? Was it kind of goofy?
Yes, very, very much. And some stuff I can get with, like some of the stuff that's more so grown up towards kids. I'll watch. Like, I am a Pokemon fan. Like now the anime is. I grew up watching anime back. It's a 90's cartoon. Like I've been watching the Pokemon anime, getting ready for school in the morning. That, and I kind of watched it for a while and it fell off. But like to this day, like my kids will watch it on Netflix. I see it, and I'll sit there and watch it with them, even though go ahead.
No, do you still love it?
Yeah, I do, because I still play the game. I still actually that's one of the reasons I have a Switch is for Pokemon. Like I'm an avid player, but it's like some stuff. I wish some like the stuff they're doing with them. Like Ash, he's been in there since the beginning. I really wish and love Ash, but it's time for him. He's been the same age since I was in middle school. Yes, he's been the same age. He's been 10 since then. This is guy. Like, how is he still the same age since then? But it's like you have to get most things they do. I'm not most, but majority of stuff that I watch has been, as far as the reboot stuff, has been pretty good. Like I said, Voltron was good. I'm trying to think some other stuff that rebooted that I can just off the hand. That's something that I grew up with. The Transformers, the Netflix Transformers series. I know why you said you kind of started watching it and you didn't like how Optimus was.
Yeah, Optimus was a little bit too soft for me. He was too he was too soft. But I mean, the show was great, but you just you want Optimus to kind of be like the Optimus in the first Transformers movie, where he knows what he's doing and he knows what he wants. Right now, he's uncertain of himself, and you can't be the leader of the Autobots and be uncertain about what you want to do.
In the first movie, he was ready to kill Megatron any day of the week.
Yeah, he was like, "Give me the chance."
Yeah,
like he has, and then the most recent one for the Netflix one, like he has an opportunity to kill him, and he was like, "I need you to tell me that everything's going to be okay." Why are you looking for advice from Megatron? I was upset.
Yeah, see, I look at it as he has to progress through it. Like he has to get to a certain point. Like he didn't always start off as hating Megatron or wanting to just destroy Megatron. So I like what they're doing. I like the story they're telling. Like I said, I think the next season they're actually gonna come to Earth and they're gonna interact with the guys from Beast Wars. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, there are a lot of good rebooted things out there. For me, the ones I like mostly and the ones I watch mostly is stuff I like. Now you get certain stuff that it's hard. I'm trying to see that I can just say that I can't really get into that have been rebooted, but it's not a whole lot that I can just think of right offhand. I even like the new the reboot of DuckTales. Like I watch it with my kids from time to time. Disney Plus or whatever. They especially for the theme song, you know, DuckTales. Like, yeah. So like it's something like that. They kept the theme song. They redid the theme song, like, but it's the same theme song. So you automatically when you see that, that's something that's gonna pull you back in. I'm not quite sure. I think they may be rebooting Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Like I'm here for that. Like I wouldn't mind. That's another theme song of the 90s. Like that I can get to. Like 90s cartoons. That's one thing about 90s cartoons for me that I can remember. Most of them came with some type of. You can remember at least one or two that had some good theme songs. Like I know a lot of those Disney block 90s cartoons. Like I said, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck. Like I said, let's get dang. Like just hear it in my head. Like I automatically hear it. Goose Troop. What else they had? It's so many that I can just pull out and you can just think of the theme song to it. Like so a lot of them, even the X-Men, even the
yeah. Okay.
Like,
I'm glad you said that.
I'll listen to an orchestral version of that.
Yes. The Pokemon theme song. I kid you not. I have a podcast that I record with some of my friends. It's more like we talk about like hot topics, things like that, relationship issues, just a bunch of different stuff. But like we were literally, I think that about 2 weeks ago we recorded. I started singing the Pokemon theme song. We all started like we're getting ready to record. We're getting ready to talk about something and I wanna be the very best, and everybody just bust out and started singing. So, like, I
had to stop myself from busting out just now.
Yes, see, like I said, 90s cartoons. This is a good topic, but yes, I'm done before I keep ranting. But go ahead.
Stephen, I feel like I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't at all.
We were
I was actually just saying I was glad that he brought up the X-Men theme song because see, y'all kept bringing up the Batman. And that was the part that it's so cheesy and it's so lame, but that explosion at the very beginning,
right?
Like that has been playing since the first time you said Batman, Wyatt. That song has been just looping in my head, and that happens to me sometimes. So the X-Men was a good wash because that's the only one. Every other theme song I hope would have done that. But it took hearing X-Men's theme song to kind of wash Batman away because they're, that instrumental style. So I'm glad that happened because when we got off the podcast, I would have had to go listen to it to try to see if that was clear because, oh my goodness. My answer to the reboot, I don't have a good answer to that one actually. So somebody else can take my time on that one.
I want to hit something you said too. Why, when you said that, I did the exact same thing. You mentioned Batman, and then the explosion happened in my head. I was just all of a sudden I was there immediately. So there's gotta be something to that.
I really love
programming.
I really love the Batman one because, like, I think as a kid they didn't pander to you, but they didn't do it to a point where it was too adult as well. Yeah. So it was one of those things where, like, especially when you saw like even Two-Face turning into Harvey Dent turning into Two-Face. You saw the transition that came about it, but it was, and you knew something was not quite right about it. And then when you see all the stuff that happens, or even like Mr. Freeze was a really good one that I really enjoyed too. So there's a lot of them that I really enjoyed when it came to that. And that was the other one that you mentioned, Thundercats. That was another one that my son really got involved in, and then they just snuck it from underneath him. Yeah. So he was like, "Oh man, this is really good, Dad. What happens?" I was like, "Just watch and see. Just watch and see." So I pull no punches with him. Like life's full of disappointments. Might as well start with TV. So yeah, it's like the only ones that I think of that come right offhand are some of and some people like this one, but I didn't like the Batman Bold and the Brave Like I know it had it. I know it's had its like moments, but you know when you get used to that high quality that you had, you're just like okay. But another one that I thought was really good, which was kind of like that spiritual successor, was from Young Justice, where they had a lot of different things from that point. So I think they did a really good.
That was good. I like Young Justice.
And they're still going, and they're going to do another season. So I like the fact that they kind of keep going, and they kind of had their own iteration of it.
Their quality dropped a little bit when they moved to Netflix, in my opinion. But I'd rather have it than have nothing.
Yeah,
it was a good run so far.
And Ninja Turtles haven't done a bad job either, because Ninja Turtles, like, even though the latest one that they did, that was another one that he had to learn the hard way. So yeah, the one where they had the little powers now. So
they had the power weapons.
But yeah, and then John Cena was in that one from wrestling. He was like a bad guy in one of those.
Oh.
So yeah. So my son, he got to hear John Cena. He was like, "Wait a second, that voice sounds familiar, Dad." And I was like, "Yeah, that's John Cena, man." So
I like the animation on the new Ninja Turtles. I didn't like it. I didn't like the arms and the feet and the legs. Like I just
made them all different. I think they made them all different turtles or different types of turtles or something like that.
I mean, that part was kind of cool. That might have been even a saving grace, but like. I just didn't like the animation very much. I'm like, all right, nah, I'll let you kids watch it. You enjoy it. I loved this show as a child. Maybe I'll go watch some of those because
I watched some of the older ones, like the ones that had. I think Nickelodeon had the ones they did before this one. This latest generation they had. I like those. That one was. I like what they were doing with that one. And the one before that one was like the early 2000s. Where they actually, that one was a good one as well. I'm actually watching. I think it's on Hulu now or something like that. But it's one of I'm actually watching that when I'm preparing my book. But I'm watching that myself. Like just when I don't have anything else to watch, especially during the time at work, I'll just turn on that and just work and kind of watch that. Just because I remember it was a good show. But it's like I said, the newest one, or the latest iteration of that. It's I like what they were doing. Like I said, I'm the same way with some of the animation. Like I said, me personally, I couldn't get into it animation wise. I like the story. I like how they changed it up a little bit. Raphael was supposed to be the leader this time. They did something a little different with it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll let my kids watch it or something. But this one is not for me. So.
All right. So before we kind of close everything out, anybody got any last words? Anything like that? Anything?
Don't forget Captain Planet reboot. I would like to be Captain Planet. Okay.
Which studio are we writing to get you in there?
Man, it's got to be somebody good. I don't even
focus on Netflix.
Oh no, Netflix is like rolling the dice. I mean, honestly, if we wrote it and put it together, we're almost guaranteed to get it. With Netflix, it's not guaranteed to be good. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, maybe we should just take a week and all right, guys, I'm going to start working out. We're going to do a live action. We're going to do a live action. I wanted to do a animated. Wait, Jeremy, you draw, right?
Yeah, but I don't know that I'm going to draw that many panels. That's a commitment.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll go live action.
I'll be the art director.
I can dig it.
We'll get somebody else to draw it. I'll tell them how to draw it.
All right, nah. We're gonna go live action. I'm just gonna start my workout regimen. The power is yours, and work on that a little bit.
That's good.
There you go.
Your wife is gonna get sick of you saying that over and over. You're gonna get off there.
She definitely will. She definitely will. So I'll just practice it in the car on the way to work.
My shout out my show is going to be live with Marcus it's going to be next Thursday, but we're probably going to have actually aired before this comes out, right? So go check it out on YouTube, on Haven Comics YouTube page, and you'll see me and Marcus and maybe a surprise lead in from life. Maybe.
Hey, well, I'm gonna do some really big work. I'm gonna edit a lot of videos, and I'll make it so that we probably don't hold me to it. I'll let you know by Tuesday whether or not I'll have it edited so that this can be out on Wednesday before the quiz show. So then, so that'll be my tentative commitment to try to get this done. But yeah, like it's a really good time, man. Those guys are really, really accommodating. They're fun loving, and even the group was. So like I had my Black Panther poster. It was a big one, and then they were like, "Oh, we're giving away another Black Panther one." And so then they were like, "Hey," and in the chat, this was the really cool part. They were like, "Whoever wins it, if Wyatt doesn't win this or answer this question correctly, let's just give it to Wyatt." I was like, "That is awesome!" Like, you know what I mean? So
it's a cool group.
Yeah, the group is really, really cool. I try to swing in whenever I can because like I love winning free stuff. Like if I could show you my Ninja Turtle poster. Hold on, let me try to the Ninja Turtle one that I have. That was awesome. Like amazing. So like it's not like you get stuff that's just like, oh well, you know, just throw away stuff. Like these are artworks and things like that. Like Jeremy has some amazing work. So check his stuff out because like there's some prints that I've seen that I feel like I really want this one, and like we work something out, or you know he's like I've already sold it, and I was like, ugh. So it's a really, really good group, and just look to kind of build up everybody. So Marcus, any final thoughts?
I will say this, just as an adult, we sometimes get caught up in, like I said, in nostalgia, and we want stuff to be how it was, or take us back to that memory, or take us back to that moment or feeling we had when we watch certain stuff. That's why I say it's when you're watching, when they decide to reboot your old series or your old show or old something, whatever you loved back in the day, and they bring it up to date. A lot of times they're not doing it for you. They're doing it for maybe kids around their age or whatever. So just don't be too harsh. You know, some stuff like I know my person, I've done that before. Just try not to be too harsh on some stuff that gets rebooted, man. And just let the younger generation take it for what it is. And let them so they can love what you love. But they're just trying to bring something back to give people, the newer generation some type of something that you love. And you show them, hey, this was popular in the 80s or the early 90s. We're bringing it back. These are for the kids nowadays. Like, let it be. Don't sit out there and tear it down before it even gets put out, or because it's not something like, something that you like. It's not, a lot of times it's not for you. I see that a lot from being on being online, being on social media. I just see that a lot, and I say we have to be aware of certain things. I hate that a lot of times. Some stuff gets, like I said, the Thundercats it wasn't for me, but it was. That's why I said I didn't like it, but for who it was for, hey, if they enjoyed it, great. It just wasn't for me. But that's all. Just try not to tear down new stuff new stuff that comes out, or stuff that you used to love as a child, and then bringing it back. Try not to tear it down. Give it a chance, and if it's not for you, hey, don't watch it or whatever. And the people that do like it, let them like it and go on with it, and don't tear them down.
There you go. That's kind of like at the end of Power Rangers, where they're like, "Don't be a bully." You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of feel that
And look at us all, we become sarcastic jerks.
Yeah. So the last thing we're gonna leave out on is we're striving for 500 followers. When we get that, there's gonna be prizes galore. So share and be like the Hulk and smash the follow button, and we'll love you 3,000. So for everybody here at the BS, thank you for watching, and have a great night. You can be one too, 'cause saving our planet is the thing to do. Shooting and polluting is not the way. Here with Captain Planet, Earth has to say. The power is yours.